Hey you guys, welcome back to the Inside Edit. Today I'm going to answer some of your most asked questions about my industry, styling, influencing, all of the things that I juggle on a daily basis and kind of how I got here. So I always want to make this podcast about you guys and how I can help you. So I'm going to answer the questions that I feel like are most valuable. Any new career or personal goals? This is such a great question and something that recently was brought to my attention that I was honestly shocked about. But a few people have mentioned to me that the consensus around town is that I don't want to be a stylist anymore and that I just want to focus on my own brand deals and influencing stuff in the podcast. And I'm just here to set the record straight. That is not true. There is nothing I love more than styling. There's nothing I love more than being on my hands and knees fixing someone's train or figuring out the best tailoring or the best street style look. There is nothing that I'm doing that I love more than what basically got me here and brought me all these other opportunities. So if you want to hire me, call me because I want to work for you. I don't know where this perception came from. I think this is hard to say, but I think there are some people in our industry, unfortunately, that want to keep us in a box. And I'm not just talking about styling. I'm talking about hair and makeup people, for instance, who start their own brands. It's like, yes, of course, you started out as being the person that supports these celebrities or influencers, and then you grow and you expand and you are looking for new streams of income and revenue and you start these brands, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to do the things that got us the brands in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel like a lot of people, and that's fine, that there are some talent out there who really just want someone who's completely behind the scenes, who has no online presence. That's fine. But I do think that we can still do it all. I know that I can. I can only speak for myself, but there's nothing I love more than styling. And so just here to fucking clear that rumor up. Do you get nervous before shoots? That is so funny. So honestly, not so much anymore. In the beginning, of course. But I think like any business, any industry, as you get good at something and you know your value and you know that you can sort of troubleshoot or problem solve anything that comes your way, there's nothing to be nervous about. I do think right when I first am meeting someone or I'm going into a fitting with someone that I've never met, you're a bit apprehensive because you just don't know what the vibe is going to be or if you guys are going to connect or if it's going to be a good fit or if they're going to be happy. A few years ago, I worked with a male talent who did make me really nervous, but I also felt like that was kind of his MO to see if he could throw me off balance, if I could really handle it, which of course I can, but I also don't really want to be around people like that who can't just let me be great, you know? Like I felt like he purposely was throwing me curveballs just to see how I would handle them. And of course I handled every single one of them, but it was a bit strange. I feel like most times now, especially if it's someone that I work with all the time, I definitely don't get nervous. You know, I do think that at certain times clients are feeling more pressure about certain projects than maybe they were on the one before. So they're projecting their not insecurity, but like their nervousness, they're projecting it onto you or also looking to you to come up with the solution to what they want the creative to be. And so sometimes I do feel nervous in that I just want to make them happy. That is really, at the end of the day, what I'm here for, is to bring their creative visions to life. Sometimes when it's the early days of a project and maybe they don't exactly know how to describe what they want, it becomes more challenging because although I'm a mind reader, I'm not totally a mind reader. And, you know, I think back in the day, it was definitely learning how to accept that I'm nervous, but I'm not going to show them that I'm nervous because I don't think that's helpful either. I say this all the time, like being responsible for the energy that you bring into a room. And if someone's trying to knock you off balance a little bit or not even meaning to, but they are, I think it's really important to remain calm. I said this to an assistant the other day. She went to get someone dressed and they were being insecure about which dress to choose. And I just said, the best thing you can do is just be really strong and be really clear about which dress you want her to wear. And then at the end of the day, it's on her to make the decision. But it's our responsibility to be the confidence for somebody when they don't have it. I remember a million years ago putting a client on stage, and it was a big performance. It was huge. It was one of the biggest of her career. And I remember feeling her nerves and literally asking God, I'm like, take this girl's nerves out of her body and put them into mine. Like, just let me help her get through this. And I think that's so much of what we do for a living is a lot of the times we're the last person they see right before they go out and do a big performance or present an award at the Oscars or, host the AMAs, or a lot of the times we are the person that's touching them, right before they go and present themselves to the world. And so if you're nervous, it's not helping anybody, and it's only going to make them more nervous. So finding some way to be strong and be supportive, I think, is probably the best advice I could give anybody. And of course, that takes time, and it takes, doing this for a long time. And it's the same thing for hair and makeup people. You could use this advice to pretty much anybody. The guys who are here filming my podcast, if I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know what to do, they're going to be the strength that I need to get through the episode. It really could go for anybody. Okay, so the next question is, how do you get an agent? I think I've touched on this in the past, but I'll just give you guys my best advice in this. I think it's really important these days. An agent wants to see that you've been working with talent. At the end of the day, they're probably not going to sign you if there's no sort of portfolio, or if you're not bringing something to the table. They are juggling all of the clients that they already have that are working, and so they have to see why you're going to add value to their agency. When I started, I was already working with Janelle Monáe. Like, I was bringing a big client to the table, and before that, nobody was really interested in me, which maybe it's different now. I do think that the range of talent is so different now. When I started, there weren't influencers, there was no TikTok, there was no, there's just so many more people these days, I think, that need styling. And so the opportunities are much more available and endless than they were when I started. And so I think if you can get in with one of those people, and even if it's offering your services for free, which I know is a hot topic, and by the way, not something that I suggest, but I do think it's a way to get in the door. I think also when you're looking for an agent, and maybe in the beginning you just take anybody who's willing to take you on, but the energy and the relationship and the trust that you need to have with this person is so important. I literally can't imagine not talking to my agent every day. Like, I talk to her more than I talk to my husband throughout the day, and this is a really important relationship. This is someone who's helping you steer the ship, someone that's like understands what your vision and what your goals are and help you get there. And if they're seeing something that's not aligning with what your goals are, it's their job to tell you or suggest, hey, why don't you try this? Or, this client is reaching out, do you want to do it? And sometimes I'll say no, but then they'll convince me why it's a good idea, which sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I also think when you've been with someone for a long time, really knowing when to say no. And no matter what they say, like, if it's not the right person for me, and that's what my gut is telling me, I've learned I have to listen to myself. At the end of the day, they are running a business. No shade to them or anything like that. I know that they want to just like keep me working, but sometimes I personally feel like it's better to say no. I recently turned down this huge partnership, a lot of money, but it didn't align with where I want to be publicly. I didn't feel aligned with the brand. And I've learned that obviously that is the biggest blessing ever, that I'm able to say no to certain things. Sometimes the no is more valuable than the yes, because if you say yes to something that does not align with you, I do think it can cancel out all these other opportunities that might have been coming your way, because they're like, wait, she said yes to that, or like, she's working with that brand, that I don't feel aligned with that. And so by saying yes to the easy money, sometimes you miss out on opportunities that are more aligned with you. And obviously having the faith to know that it's okay to say no, that not all money is worth it, is, listen, I know that sounds crazy. I know that it is a privilege to say no to certain things and to certain jobs or clients. And I'm very aware of that. But I also feel like at the end of the day, my reputation or how I present myself is all I have at the end of the day, you know? And so being really picky about that and being really protective of myself, I think is really important, and also taken a lot of time. You know what I mean? Like, I've been doing this for 20 years. So for me to be able to be in the position to say no to certain things is such a privilege, but also something that I've worked really hard to be able to do. All of that being said, you guys, in the beginning of my career, I said yes to everything. You know, like, I never said no to a single thing. And every yes led me to the next thing, because in the beginning, you need these experiences. Even if it's not a lot of money, you're gaining the experience by being in the room or doing the job. Or I'll give you an example. I didn't want to do dancers and music videos, but you know what it taught me? It taught me how to dress all kinds of different women's body types. And I had to learn to do that quickly and fast. A lot of the times you have like maybe an hour to dress, 20 girls in a music video. And so you've got to be able to look at that girl's body and say, okay, these are the pieces that are going to work on her. And that is like such valuable information to learn as an up-and-coming stylist, because I was able to take that into all of the curvy girls that I've worked with over the last 20 years. I'm like known for that, and that's because I said yes to doing dancers and music videos. I said yes to a music video that led me to Janelle Monáe, and that completely changed my life just by being on set and being available. And I think that it frustrates me now because I feel like the kids today aren't willing to do it. And I'm like, it takes work. And there's a reason for everything, it's not for nothing. The long hours, the hard work isn't for nothing. You're learning so much and you're getting the experience that you wouldn't get otherwise. What's the alternative? Sitting home and not doing anything? Like, just say yes to everything. Do everything that comes your way, because you really don't know who you're going to meet, and do it well and do it with a smile and be kind and be fun to be around. And it's just going to continue to flow. I think when you're in a flow and you're working a lot, it like typically stays that way, and I just said yes to everything in the beginning of my career. Everything. Even when I didn't want to do it, I did it. And I didn't have the privilege of saying no, and I had to make money, and I got taken advantage of, and all the horror stories that happened to me, but it all builds character and it teaches you a lesson. I was just talking to someone about this the other day where they're like, such and such didn't pay me. And I'm like, God, I remember that, where you show up and you do a job and you never get paid for it. And like today, because of that, I've learned how to protect myself so that doesn't happen anymore, and it sucks. It's character building in the worst way. But sometimes the mistakes and the hardships also prepare you so that these things don't continue to happen. Someone said Paris Fashion Week or New York Fashion Week. This is a given. Paris, obviously. I love New York. It's my hometown, but it has sort of lost its luster for me, if I'm being honest. I think Paris is so magical and everything just feels more elevated and more magical and just more beautiful because of the places that you're in, or where they're holding these fashion shows are just absolutely crazy. It's just all about just the overall vibe of Paris is so special. I remember when I first started going, and still to this day, by the way, we'll have moments where I'm like, I cannot believe I'm in this room. I'll never forget my first Chanel fashion show in the Grand Palais, of course. I met Karl Lagerfeld. I was with my client, Janelle Monáe, and she was one of Karl's muses. And it was the Chanel Airlines show. So the whole space was made to look like basically like an airport hangar. And it was the most magical. I remember crying, like sitting in my seat and just tears streaming down my eyes because I couldn't believe that I was in this room. And honestly, I still feel that way. I think fashion is so magical, and I love seeing these designers bring their vision to life and getting And, I could do a whole episode, you guys, on all of these new creative directors that have just shown all their brand new collections. I was so excited this season to see how these different designers interpreted their vision for these new houses, and was so blown away with pretty much all of them, except a few, but pretty much all of them. Completely blown away and excited. And I feel like it's kind of what fashion needed, was like this new energy and this new excitement to reinvigorate. A lot of these houses, for instance, have looked the same for a long time, and I'm so excited about what has just come out. And also, I'm gonna go broke when it all becomes available. Okay, someone asked, what are the best jeans? I say this a lot, like dressing for your body type is the most important. So the silhouette of denim is really based on you and how denim fits. Personally, my favorite jeans that I gravitate towards over and over again are worn in old vintage Levi's. I feel like I find the best shapes, and they make so many different cuts, whether they're low-waisted and baggy or tight and skinny. I just think you can always find a different shape with a vintage Levi's. I can't gatekeep my favorite place. You guys know I've talked about the Dig in Venice. It is my favorite place to get vintage denim. I have literally run into you guys there because I've shared it publicly, and then I can't get my jeans anymore, but it's fine. I love Jason, who owns the store, and he's so good at seeing a client. He's just like me, like seeing someone walk in his store and knowing based on what they're saying they want, he knows exactly what he has for them, and he's, offering his help. And I just think it's such a great place to get denim. I personally, my all-time favorite is the Silver Tab. They're very lightweight and soft and baggy, and they almost feel like sweatpants because they're so thin. So that's my personal favorite. But some advice when shopping for denim is also trying on a bunch of different kinds. Like maybe doing a big order on Revolve or Bloomingdale's or whatever it is, and just getting a bunch in and trying them all on at once. I would do it at home where you feel comfortable and you have pieces in your closet that you could mix in. Just order, let's say 10 pairs, and try them all on and see what works best for you and your body and your needs. And then you can sort of see how it's going to work well in your closet, and then return the rest, or keep them all, whatever. But I'm just saying, I think sometimes we need to try on a bunch of different silhouettes to really know what's best for us. And also remember that tailoring is a big part of this. For me, a lot of the time, because I like a low-waisted baggy denim, I size way up, but then it's too big in the waist, or it gives that gap in the back, or like above your butt where it's like sticking out off your back. That is such an easy fix with a tailor, and I almost always have to do that, and it's just worth it to me to get the shape that I want and to make it sort of customized to me and my body type. So just because something is not fitting right off the rack doesn't mean that you can't tweak it a little bit, especially the length. Obviously, if you're shorter, just tailor the length. Or some jeans I have are meant to be with sneakers, some are meant to be with heels. It's really just based on the length. So I think having a range of that in your closet makes it easier to get dressed. Okay, where are we getting coats for fall? By the way, it's still not fall, you guys. I'm so confused by everyone in LA posting about their fall fits, and I'm like, it's still 80 degrees. What universe are you living in? I'm so ready though at this point. So one of my favorite, and it's a bit pricier, but I just think it's such good quality, style, shape, everything, is this brand Noir Hemor, I think is how you say it. They're a leather brand. So if you're looking for a great leather jacket in the like $1,500 range, they make incredible pieces. I also just bought a leopard pony hair trench coat from them. So more of a splurge, but a piece that, although might be sort of considered trendy, I think leopard is a neutral and something that you can keep forever. Even if you don't wear it for a couple of years, you can bring it back and always be happy that you have it. I also think a great brand, great pricing is Source Unknown. They have great pieces. I think it ships from like South Korea, so you have to just be willing to wait a little bit. Helsa on Revolve, the quality is so spectacular, and I think her shapes are really cool. And what I really appreciate her brand is, although it's trendy, I do feel like it's very fashion forward. It's very what's to come. I don't feel like they're chasing trends. I feel like they're sort of setting trends in a lot of ways. And so I really love her leather jackets and trench coats. Also, searching exactly what you're looking for on Revolve, you're going to find it. If you're looking for a super long trench coat, you're going to find it on there. It's just about digging. I always try to post my links to my favorites, which I know helps you guys, and I love doing that because it is a lot to get through, but when you have it narrowed down, I think it really helps. So happy to do that for you guys. Another great brand for leather jackets is Leo Season. I just wore one of them in Mexico City. It's sort of giving Saint Laurent shapes for a fraction of the price. And then, of course, if you're down to splurge, you know, brands like Kate are going to make the most beautiful jackets. The Row. Who else do we love? I mean, Jacquemus is in a really good price point, I think, for a great sort of fashiony piece. Someone asked me how to balance being trendy versus being timeless. I personally think it's important not to invest a lot of money into trendy pieces and investing your money into the timeless pieces, using not the dupes, but using pieces that, you know, could be considered trendy without spending a ton on. For me, is especially after the fire, how I'm balancing it. I look back at things that I lost that I spent a lot of money on that I only wore a few times, and I just personally don't want to continue to do that. I feel like there's a way to balance it. And listen, if you have unlimited funds, obviously go for it. But if you're trying to work within a budget, I think the best advice I could give you is to spend on the pieces that are going to be long lasting, that you can go back to over and over and over again in your closet. For me, when it comes to clients, it's very dependent on the client. I do different things for different people. I just personally like to think of them, like who are they and who do they want to be, and that's how we establish their style. And the trends matter less as long as it's them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to feel like authentic to who they want to be. And if that's trendy or timeless, that's sort of like client per client. Like, it's important that they are themselves, I guess, and that I'm just bringing forward who they want to present themselves to be. House update, you guys. I wish I had one. My house is as empty could be. I think this is partly why my spiral was going on. I was talking about it in the last episode. I think I would probably feel a lot differently about the fire and just sort of feeling unsettled if my house had furniture in it and I could actually enjoy being in my home. I don't have any yet. I still basically only have beds and bar stools in my kitchen. I don't have a living room. I don't have a dining room. And until I do, I feel like I can't really buy like the decor, the fun pieces, because you need the furniture, the base of the house to be there before, you know, you buy the fun stuff. So we're getting there. I think we're a few weeks away from having some big deliveries and big pieces in the house. It has been challenging because I've been really picky and really intentional about what we buy. And also the house is like a one floor, it's very open concept, but actually doesn't need a ton of furniture. And so the pieces that I have been that I need to buy, I've just been extra picky about and not just wanting to buy anything. So it's partly my own fault because I just haven't pulled triggers on certain things, but we have officially pulled every trigger and now we're just waiting for it all to trickle in. So I'm really grateful. We also did some like landscaping and work in our backyard, which has also felt a bit unsettled because I feel like I can't really go outside. So it's just been a weird experience of like, I'm so grateful that we have a new home, but it's like literally just living in the shell of a house. My husband came home and I was like in bed the other day and he's like, "What are you doing in bed?" I go, "Well, where else am I supposed to be?" There's nowhere else to sit. I'm just sitting here. You know, I don't have a couch to sit on. What am I supposed to do? So I'm looking forward to it being done. I'm definitely at the end of my rope, but trying to be grateful. And listen, I know that we are so far ahead of so many people who are in our situation. So many people are still living in rentals or they're trying to get the permits to rebuild their houses. And, you know, we were just able to move on, I guess. And as sad as that is, at least we're able to sort of move forward, I guess, whereas a lot of people are pretty stuck, you know, and in really bad situations. So I do feel really grateful that we have what we have, and I'm just looking forward to it being done and hopefully have a holiday party because you guys know it's my all-time favorite thing ever is hosting. And my Christmas party means a lot to me, so I'm just praying that we're good by Christmas. Okay, someone asks, on a regular day, how quickly do you choose your outfit? I think that I have a uniform when I don't want to think about it. Like, it's always sort of the same: baggy jeans, loafers or sneaker, and a t-shirt or a sweater. Kind of basically what I'm wearing right now. I definitely feel like I have a capsule wardrobe so that when I just need to get ready and just get out the door, I don't have to think about it. When I need to really put outfits together, let's say I'm going to an event, I purposely spend time in my closet. And this is also a huge thing for me after the fire, because so many things are new to me that I haven't even worn or haven't figured out how to style them yet. So I actually have to intentionally spend time in my closet and try to put outfits together. Also, when I travel, I do this. So I try to pull out the pieces that I want to wear. I have this tiny little rolling rack that I bring into my closet, and I start pulling out the pieces that I want to wear and then work around that. So if there's like a new leather jacket I just bought or someone gifted me, I'm going to pull that out and then say, okay, how do I want to style this? And then I'll pull the pieces and try them on and then take a picture, and that's how I'll pack. I do the same thing when I have a bunch of events to go to as well. I just think it's important to spend time with your wardrobe, and I've been trying to consume less because I know I have it in there. Mostly, there's certain things missing. Like the other day, I realized I didn't have a pair of black boots. I mean, these are bizarre things you take for granted that you're used to having in your closet. So I had to like scramble and get some black boots for an event that I was going to. So I think that also it's kind of fun, and this is something that anybody could try with their friends, especially if they have a very fashion forward friend. I actually want to have Rachel come over and have her style me with my clothes, because sometimes I feel like Rachel's my assistant, by the way, who knows me better than anybody. Sometimes I feel like a fresh set of eyes is a fun way to reinterpret what you have. So if you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like you don't know what to do with your closet or the pieces you've got, have someone new come over and go through your stuff and pull out the pieces that they think are cool and then have them style you. I would be curious if you got a lot more wear out of the pieces that you have by doing that. Okay, guys, this is so fun. I love answering your questions. Please keep sending them in. And if you like this style of podcast, I will definitely keep doing them. We also have so many exciting guests coming up that I cannot wait to share with you. I feel so honored that they're joining us here on the Inside Edit. Leave your questions, comments, all the things on the YouTube channel, or send us a DM on Instagram or TikTok. Okay. I love you so much. Bye.